Hi class, I'm Stephanie Borg. I was chosen to do the recruiting and selecting staff presentation. Recruitment and selecting staff is a huge job. If it is done correctly, the healthcare organization saves money, staff are happier, and the patients are more satisfied. The healthcare organization is able to save money because they're not wasting time hiring somebody that does not fit the position, training them, and then having to hire someone else because they don't fit the job or aren't able to perform. The recruitment team is often made up of a nurse recruiter, a nurse manager, and other human resources staff. They all work together to find the best person for the job and the best addition to the team. The recruitment and selecting process. Like I mentioned in the prior slide, there are many different personnel involved in selecting the right candidate. The nurse manager would be the best person to know the position and know what the team needs, as far as experience and how this person would fit best with the current nursing staff. The HR team will do the initial screenings and make sure that everything is done correctly and legally. So they take care of kind of the more broad stuff when selecting a candidate. The position description must be clear. That involves the job overview, qualifications, and the job responsibilities. Here, I just pulled one up from the LGH website. This is for where I work in labor and delivery. So it kind of goes over what you need to have to be able to work there and what kind of things you'd be doing. So it kind of is very clear on what they are looking for. Recruiting applicants. So the purpose of recruiting is to locate qualified applicants so that the team can choose from a pool. They want to be able to have more people than they actually need so that they can choose the best person to fit the team. The nursing staff are very, very important when it comes to the recruiting process because this is the person that is going to be working side by side with this new candidate. From the Sullivan book here, positive hospital care environment not only reduces patient mortality but also improves nurses' perspective of the work setting. So it's a huge, huge, huge component to have a positive hospital care environment, not only for our patients but for our nurses who are working there taking care of these patients. There is a higher job satisfaction from nurses working at a magnet hospital. So this totally makes sense. I didn't really think about it, but having a magnet hospital recognition is huge for both nurses and for the patients. Nurse manager plays a big role in the positive work environment and retaining current staff. She's kind of the person who helps the work environment be the best place and answers questions and is there supporting the staff. So the 4 recruitment strategies include where to look, how to look, when to look, and how to sell. So I'll go over all 4 of those here next. Recruiting, where to look. Many organizations use social media to recruit, so that's a huge one now. I found one article that's from 2000, basically just saying that attracting people to the position is like that first stage. He also mentioned that the internet is growing to find candidates. So this was in 2000, so it was a little bit ago, but definitely the internet is huge in where to look for new candidates. They also use the nursing zip code for when you get your license. So the hospital is able to get that information and kind of find where they should recruit to hire these nurses. Having a local nursing school can be very beneficial. Also having externships and residencies and high school student shadow. So this kind of gets people into the hospital and kind of shows them what it's about to get jobs then from the experiences they had. Having nursing students as aides can be a great recruitment tool. They know, what the hospital's like. They tell their friends. So even if they decide not to work there, it's definitely an option for other students. Then student loan forgiveness or payment can be very attractive to nurses. I know this personally from getting, our BSN paid back. It's huge that we can get this and we don't have to pay all of it. So that definitely was attractive to me. So recruiting, how to look. So there's there's tons of job sites that can show different listings and different potential jobs. A quote here from the Sullivan book: employee referrals, advertising in professional journals, attending at professional conferences, job fairs, career days, visiting educational institutions, employment agencies, and temporary help agencies are all recruiting sources. So there's tons and tons of places where hospitals can go to recruit new nurses. Also, posting in the newspaper or commercials on TV can get some new recruits, as well as offering some kind of bonuses. That's also very attractive for many new nurses. So here's just a little picture I put of kind of just saying make a difference. Here's kind of saying apply here, a little advertisement. When to look. So basically when there's a nursing shortage, which is pretty much always. So here's another article I found from 2007 saying policy should focus less on reducing costs and more on compensating nurses. So look more at keeping those nurses and getting those nurses so that you have a better foundation. And then nursing shortages can be traced back 4 decades when hospital-based education changed to college-based education. So basically this nursing shortage has been going on for a long time. So how do we get these nurses and keep these nurses? So that is how to sell, which is the 4 Ps: product, place, price, and promotion. All of these are the consumer, so the nurse, the new nurse that needs a job. So the product, that's the available position. So that's also looking at the organization, the professionalism, standard of care, service, respect, and organizational culture. Next is the place. So that's the actual location of the hospital, parking, scheduling, all those things. Prices next, which is the benefits, the pay, sign-on bonuses, insurance, retirement plans. And then the promotion is the advertising, the personal selling, job fairs, things like that. And then cross-training is also utilized a lot now, saying that you shouldn't miss any days of work because we'll be training you to go to other units so that you won't be called off and lose money that way. Selecting a candidate. So the candidate will contact the organization and apply for the job, and the HR will review the application, and if they fit the criteria, a first interview will be completed. If they meet the criteria of the first interview, the application will then move on. If they do not meet the criteria for this specific job, they may be looked at for different positions in the hospital, maybe a not as specialized unit or something like that. References are also checked. If the references are good, they will then move on to the managerial interviews. The manager will then conduct an interview because he or she feels like the candidate will be suitable for this job and wants to ask the candidate more questions and wants them to be able to ask questions to him or her. Interviewing the candidates. So a few components go into interviewing the candidates. First is developing a structural interview guide. So having the same interview questions for every personnel is very beneficial so that they can be compared. Instead of asking different questions each time, it'll be hard to compare all the candidates. Preparing for the interview. So that's having all of the information ready to go. If there's meetings with other people, have all those set up so that the interview goes smoothly. Opening the interview, you want the candidate to feel not nervous. You want to be warm and friendly. You don't want to make a quick first impression because that can lose a really good candidate. Or if they make a really good first impression, they might not be as suitable, but you really are attracted to their first impression. Giving information. So this is kind of the question and answer period where the manager will give information about the organization and then the candidate can ask questions. And then the closing the interview is kind of thanking them for the interview and any closing remarks or any closing questions or interests. Staff is a huge component to the interview process. If they are involved, it strengthens the team and increases staff involvement. So I know when we interview at Women's and Babies, if they're a good candidate, they get to shadow with the staff for a few hours, and that involves us and also involves the person that is interviewing. So the interview is also looked at reliability and to see if they are a good candidate and all their information is correct. The candidates are often assessed to see if he or she will be able to perform the job, and the candidates will be a good fit for the team. Another article I found from 2012 says that how you behave during an interview does not lead to higher performance, but self-affirming and self-relevant statements are related to higher performance in their interview. So making a hiring decision, you want to look at the education, experience, and the license of the before hiring the candidate. So different jobs may be more suitable for someone with an associate's degree over a bachelor's. Maybe an associate's degree a nurse would be better working off the floor, getting some experience, where a bachelor's, maybe they can move up to leadership earlier. References are also looked at from past work experiences. They don't go into detail about the past work experiences, but just kind of getting a general reference if they're a good candidate. The person must also hold a nursing license to get a job as a nurse. So if they're a new graduate, they like to have them have the final decision, final word about the nursing license before giving them a start date. The integrity of the information is also looked at. The qualities required for the job are looked at, as well as the reliability of information and trainability of the candidate. Then the nurse manager decides if he or she wants to hire the candidate. HR is then informed and does a very thorough background check of the candidate. If they clear that, then the manager is able to call and offer the candidate the position. There's a lot of legal stuff when it comes to hiring. The Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967 and Americans with Disability Act of 1990. This makes sure that employees have an equal opportunity and that they're not discriminating because of age. So I have that little picture down there saying you're good if you're under 40, but over 40 you're not. So that's why the act was in place. And then the Civil Rights Act make sure that there's no discrimination because of sex, race, color, religion, or nationality. So there's plenty of acts that are in place to be sure that there's equal opportunity and no discrimination in the workplace. This first video here, I was unable to pull up the picture of it, but you can click on the link. Just kind of goes over a brief overview of recruitment and selecting staff. And then the second video here talks about the interview process, some interview questions, things like that. Some additional information I got here from the book. This is table 16.2, talks about appropriate things to act and not appropriate things to act. So just for one example here, the age column, it's okay to don't ask for the birth certificate before hiring. You're able to ask if they're over 18. But it is appropriate to ask for the birth certificate after hiring. So that's kind of not discriminating because of age. And then the other box here from 16.4 in the book is different hiring questions. So why did you choose to become a nurse? Describe a situation in which you had a conflict with a patient or family member and what happened. So this maybe is aimed more towards people that have already had nursing positions, but you can kind of change it in different ways to kind of fit the person being interviewed. Here's my references, and thanks for watching.